The album is packed with highlights, and most amazingly of all, even managed to produce a hit single, which saw Sabbath appear on Top of the Pops. Paranoid was an astonishing tour de force which defined the heavy metal genre with its stunning mix of simplicity and power.
Paranoid's just brilliant. You can't go wrong with it. It's pretty short at a time when bands were playing songs that went on for 3 days, you know. Very, very basic with great lyrics.
It was probably their most commercial song in the sense of it transcended different listening public because you can nearly dance to Paranoid.
It's the one that if you talk to people who don't really know Black Sabbath and they look at you blankly and just say, Paranoid? Oh yeah, that song, yeah. We saw Ozzy performing it before the Queen.
We went in to record the album, and in the lunch break, I didn't go out to eat with the others, I just stayed at the studio and just came up with this riff, this Paranoid, and when everybody came back, I said, well, let's just put this down, so we put it down, and that was it. It wasn't intended as a single or anything, it was just another one for the album.
It's really funny that Paranoid and All Right Now are both songs that were kind of knocked off at the end of a session just to fill up some time, and they've become like the most famous songs for Free and Black Sabbath, where some other track that they've spent months writing and arranging and recording falls flat because it's been thought about too much.
Thank you. The Paranoid album is a real progression of power. It just gets better and better. None more so than the rock-hard metal sound of Iron Man.
That's it, just that heartbeat going, and then you know, the down turn of that sweep of the strings, you know.
Iron Man's one of the most ridiculous heavy metal songs ever, but it works just because it's so Beavis and Butthead. I am Iron Man. It's like, how much more ridiculous do you want to get? But it's a great song.
Iron Man was really the sort of second place they go. It wasn't Nativity in Black, you know, so it wasn't, you know, the devil at the Nativity play. It wasn't Graveyards on a wet Sunday morning, you know, dreary Sunday morning. It was this other area they went, you know, I am an Iron Man, you know, with the sort of Dalek sound of the vocals in the beginning, but still retaining that ow, 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 ow.
Great riffing from Tony Iommi. Great drumming from Bill Ward, and Ozzy's voice is so symbolic, so individual and so recognisable. The guy can't sing a note, but he can certainly present a song, and no one presented Black Sabbath songs in the 1970s better than Ozzy could. And subsequent singers like Ronnie James Dio, far better singer, but he doesn't do the Ozzy era stuff as well as Ozzy can.
Iron Man was to remain a fixture of the Sabbath set for many years. Simplicity is the key, a very simple riff with a chanted vocal from Ozzy. Although there is once again a neat change of tempo midway through the song, it showed Sabbath were able to harness a wide variety of musical styles.
Playing with the dynamic all of the time. But when you take whatever you could say about the track, you then take that into a live auditorium. It's like, oh my God! I mean, it lives another life completely. It becomes heavier, it becomes bigger. He becomes Iron Man.
So it's one of those songs where the Sabbath audience would probably have a riot if it wasn't played at every single Black Sabbath show. It's just such a core part of them. It almost defines what Black Sabbath are musically.
Sabbath certainly is identified with Iron Man, but really with Sabbath, because I never really had the big singles, they were really more of an album band. I mean, their songs on the records kind of acted as a whole. So I think of Sabbath as kind of more of an album track band as opposed to a singles band. I certainly know it was a great song. Obviously one of Sabbath's sort of signature songs.
Paranoid is a rare example of an album with no fillers whatsoever. Even the lesser-known tracks are absolute killers. Although it has long since disappeared from the live set, Hand of Doom was very much a stage favourite. There was a certain similarity in parts of the introduction to The Doors. Even Ozzy's vocal delivery echoes the style of Jim Morrison.
Times caught up with you home. Now you know the saying. Your skin starts turning green.
Yeah, you could listen to it and say, oh yeah, it sounds a bit Doorsy. But, you know, we've talked about the examples, many examples, Iron Man, NIB, it doesn't happen immediately. They're setting you up for something else to happen. And if the Doors use that technique in their writing, then it's just because, and I would suggest that the Hand of Doom is exactly the same.
If you take a huge leap of faith here with me and go from Black Sabbath to Nirvana, the fact about Hand of Doom is it's got a sort of quietish verse and an explosive chorus, and then a quiet verse and an explosive chorus, and that's very much Nirvana.
Hand of Doom was another of those tracks which built from the gentle bass guitar intro to reach a stomping rock climax. By now, the Sabbath template was well and truly established.
The bands that have taken the essence of it, doing their own thing. Bands like Metallica and Pantera and Machine Head and Fear Factory I like as well.
Aside from being a precursor to punk rock, they were also the origins of stoner rock and grunge. If you listen to Soundgarden and bands like that, there's a lot of those same riffs there, and a lot of the so-called stoner rock bands, Kyuss and all those bands, you'll hear that, not that just that one song, but a lot of those influences came from Sabbath, whether they'll admit it or not.
Not rigidly played like a metronome drum machine type thing. It's much more organic, and that goes for a lot of Black Sabbath stuff. And it's completely kind of intuitive between the members of the band that they evolved this kind of telepathy where maybe the tempo shifts, or they decide to pull it all back down quieter and then go loud and whatever else.
All the tracks are none of them are worked out. They're all off-the-cuff ones, and in fact, if I do them in the studio, I'm doing different ones. I never really play them the same. And on stage, there's always something slightly different. I'm not the sort of guitar player that can sit down and play everything exactly note for note all the time. It has to be sort of, I like to do it off the cuff.
Because you trip a line from like USA, reality away. It's illuminating. You must believe it.
The album concludes with Fairies Wear Boots, a decidedly Sabbath-like spin on some pretty unusual subject matter. Although Sabbath were happy to dabble in the odd occult reference, they didn't embrace the same love of fantasy worlds which many of their contemporaries did. This is certainly the only time you'll hear Ozzy singing about fairies, even if it is tongue-in-cheek.
People do think it's about mysticism and about Black Sabbath getting into mysticism, which is like what castles and druids and fairies and goblins and dragons and stuff. But of course it's not. The real thing was inspired by the skinheads, because there was the skinheads in Birmingham and they had altercations, more than one.
Oh yeah, you're really hard, you do it in gangs, what are you going to be like on your own? That's what I mean about Black Sabbath having that ability to talk about what was going on in their culture, on their streets, things they understood. They weren't necessarily talking about big occult subjects, because they really weren't well versed in that whatsoever.
The lyrical content of a typical Sabbath song would include corpses, graveyards, black, pain, destruction, all the ingredients for a Hammer House of Horror movie.
They would come up with kind of musical structures which really suited a very gloomy atmosphere. Not all the time, but a lot of it was very kind of trying to be disturbing. You know, very much appealing to your 14-year-old young kid who thinks the world's against him and, you know, everything's going to be apocalyptic.
As far as I remember it, Sabbath were playing in normal keys, but somehow were achieving that sound. It's once again, it's the combination of those people that somehow just found that common denominator, and which became Black Sabbath, and they found something new. They found a new direction. A lot of people were quite scared of what they were doing. At the time, it was not pleasant. You know, it wasn't quite right. There was something evil going on here. But in actual fact, they're really nice guys.
Black Sabbath themselves were never worshippers of the devil. Subsequently, you've had people who try to claim that they were Huron bands, sometimes to shock value, sometimes because they genuinely believed it. Never the Sabbath way. They were just enjoying themselves and putting on a show.
Oh yeah, we used to have all this bullshit going on. There's fucking witches and freaks phoning us up asking us to play at Black Mass and all this crap. It was a bit heavy for about 12, 18 months, you know. And then we sort of like, we came into America and we started to do a lot of work in America, and it sort of leveled out in England a lot, you know.
Even though he's talking about the dark side of things, he's really